Subash, we are all set, and I have gone live on YouTube also. We will take another 5 minutes to start, Subash. I see a few
Okay.
attendees, so we can take another 5 minutes so that the attendees build up and then we can start. Subash, am I audible?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Am I?
We're all set, and I have gone live on YouTube also. Echoing back, Subash, I have no.
Okay.
Okay, Subash, good morning. I think we are on time. We can probably
Good morning.
start. Uh, so let me just go ahead. Hope you're ready, Subash.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So, to all the attendees, thank you for being patient. We just wanted 5 minutes to prep everything, and we are up and ready. In continuation with yesterday, we have Subhash Rao to continue with Lightroom, and today he's going to talk mostly about organizing your images in Lightroom, and as most of you know, Subhash comes with 14 plus years of experience in the photography industry. I would let Subhash take it over, and I'm sure today's session is going to be a fruitful one as well. Subhash, over to you, Subhash.
Thank you, Shishir. Good morning to one and all present here. Uh, Today's talk is all about organizing and housekeeping in Lightroom Classic. It is yesterday, as we were talking yesterday. Uh, when you talk about Lightroom, it's a very, along with being a very powerful processing engine, Lightroom is also a very powerful digital asset management software. Uh, what do I mean by digital asset management? I'm talking about where you import photographs into Lightroom and manage close to about, say, sometimes 15,000 images or 20,000 images. Some of my friends are managing close to about 400,000 images. So uh, it becomes very essential for you as a photographer not just to output your images really well, but also to do some amount of organizing and housekeeping so as to allow you to access whatever images that you require on time. So for example, if I have shot a sunset image, say about 8 years ago, how am I going to be able to find that image? If I'm not organized, it is like finding a needle in a haystack. So it becomes very essential as a photographer, not just to also process images and output them, but also, be organized in terms of how you can, access the images, whichever images, whenever you want, right at your fingertips. So that becomes very essential. So in order to do that, there needs to be some sort of a thought process involved. There needs to be some sort of a strategy. Before I actually move into Lightroom to decide how to organize, I actually take a piece of paper or a stick note and decide how I want my images to be organized. Okay, so as to decide some sort of a strategy in order to allow myself to uh, uh, allow myself to whatever organization that I strategies that I take, it needs to be meaningful for me. So whatever strategies that I adopt need not necessarily be something that will work for you, but what is important here is it gives you some sort of a preamble. It gives you some sort of a starting point where you can infer meanings from the way you assemble and organize your own images. So the strategies that I have adopted are a result of about experimenting for more than about 6 or 7 years, and it constantly has changed and evolved. So even till about 3 months ago, I was deciding on some sort of a reorganizing strategy, and that took me almost about a month. So over a period of time, my organizing strategy in Lightroom has evolved. Okay, so that is something that is very subjective and specific to me, but this will give you some sort of a preamble in which the way you can organize the images in Lightroom the way you want. Okay, so having said that, I spoke to you about Lightroom being a digital asset management software. So when I say digital asset management software, I'm talking about a terminology called catalog. Okay, I don't know if you have come across this terminology. This is something that is inferred a lot in Adobe Lightroom. So Adobe Lightroom Classic is a catalog based image management software. So what do I mean by a catalog? So a catalog is a file that contains 4 important information within that file. Okay, so on the right side, if you see, there is an external hard drive that I maintain where all my images are imported. Okay, so the images go into my external hard drive, while the catalog remains in my local hard drive, say for example C drive. Now that catalog is linked to the external hard drive. Okay, now what does that catalog contain? It contains four important information. Number one, file location. So wherever my files are, the catalog maintains a database of where my files are. Okay, suppose I want to move an image from one folder to another folder. If I do it from within Lightroom, the catalog and the Lightroom will keep track of where my images have moved. So if I move any image from outside the Lightroom, Lightroom will show me an error saying that I'm not able to locate this file. So one of the first important things that you must do in order for the Lightroom catalog to maintain a very healthy file information is that if you want to rename your folders, if you want to rename your files, if you want to move files, everything that must be done from within Lightroom, not outside Lightroom. So that is one of the precursors with regard to how you can maintain a database, a healthy database. So catalog is basically a database. And what does the database contain? It contains file locations. It has to generate preview, right? So whatever previews that you see on screen, it is actually a JPEG preview of the original raw file. So the previews are generated, okay, once you import your raw files into Lightroom. And it maintains all the adjustments that you make, like for example, increasing of exposure or increasing of contrast, reduction of exposure, or if you want to increase texture, or if you want to burn and dodge, all this information is available within the catalog. So the catalog maintains the adjustment information. And finally, metadata. This is something that is a very important terminology for Lightroom. Metadata is basically, for example, when you click a picture in your camera, some of the cameras have an option to assign star ratings from within the camera. So, or a flag, or a color code. So, or for example, at what aperture did you shoot your particular image, or what was the shutter speed? These are information that what we call it as metadata, and that is imbibed or incubated within the raw file when you click an image. Even JPEGs many times has metadata imbibed or incubated into it. So this information is all stored into a catalog. Okay. So now I would like to switch over to Lightroom so that I can show you where the catalog resides. Okay. Until this point of time, I hope everything is clear. I hope my pace is clear. Okay. Now, before I move on to Lightroom, I want to also bring your attention to the two different versions that are available in Lightroom. Lightroom Classic, which is basically a desktop version, okay, where you maintain all your images in an external hard drive. and where you import all your photographs from your computer. And then you can also sync or some of your images to your phone as well. Okay, so it's primarily Lightroom Classic is primarily a desktop based application. That's why it's called as a classic. And then you have on the right side a creative cloud version. Okay, so when you subscribe to a photography plan in Lightroom, you have access to both versions of Lightroom. Okay, Lightroom Classic as well as Lightroom. So Lightroom allows you to maintain a creative cloud in database or information where you can store all your images on a cloud and access all those images using your iPads or your phones or any other remote device from whichever location that you are situated. Okay, so this is something that is very important as well to understand. Okay, so I would like to switch screens now. Shishir, I hope I'm audible and I've been clear so far.
Perfectly fine, Subash. You're right on track. Thanks.
Thank you, Shishir. So I would like to move on and I'll switch my screen to Adobe Lightroom.
Sure. And in the meantime, I would just want to announce to all our attendees, if they have any questions, let them please go ahead and use the Q&A tab or the chat section and just ask any questions related to the seminar that is going on.
That's correct.
Yeah, over to you.
I hope my Lightroom screen is visible now.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I spoke to you about a catalog, right? So I want to tell you where the catalog resides. Okay. So if I move to the edit, just a second. There's a small glitch in from my end. All right. Can you hear me, Shishir, now?
Yeah, Subhash, we can
Yes.
now.
I'll continue. So
Yeah.
if I move to the edit and go to catalog settings, okay, so this is where my catalog remains. Generally, what I always do is I store my catalog in a local hard drive. Okay, so this is the location of my current catalog. I can click on show to reveal it in Finder. Okay, Shishir, just a minute.
Sure, Subhash, no problem. To all the attendees, thank you for being patient. Just give us 2 minutes while we regroup. There's a small technical glitch, so we're just trying to fix it.
Sorry, there was a small glitch. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Subhash, you can carry
All
on.
right.
Thanks.
So I have revealed my catalog in the Finder, and there are what you see here is the Subash Rao master catalog. That is my master catalog. Okay. Generally, generally I have renamed this file. Okay. So that is another important tip that I can give you. So one of the important things to do is to actually rename the catalog. Okay, and I always do that. So whichever is my master catalog, I always rename it as Subash Rao master catalog. Okay, and then there are two files here. One is the catalog file, and then there is the lrcat file. These two files are always very important and they must never be deleted. Okay, So this is where the catalog resides. And another important tip that I can give you is many photographers I see always maintain more than one catalog per year. That sometimes seems to be very confusing for me. You can create as many catalogs you want, maybe on some assignments. For example, if I go to Humpy, I can create a separate catalog for Humpy. If I'm doing a fashion shoot for a particular model, uh, I can create another catalog. So so in this process, I can create multiple catalogs. But one glitch where the problem where it lies when I create multiple catalogs is I in order to access a particular image, I always have to move to that catalog. Okay, and I also have to remember which catalog it is. So I'll have to probably write it down. So suppose if I want to access one particular image of a particular model, so I'll have to remember the model's catalog and then access that. So what I generally do is I maintain one single master catalog for all my images, for both my commercial work as well as for my aesthetic work. Okay, so this is something that is very important, so that all the images are available at a fingertip. So how I manage those different assignments, we will discuss in a bit. Okay, so for now I would like to come back to Photoshop Lightroom. Can you see the screen now? Lightroom. Okay, so I just showed you where the Lightroom catalog resides. Okay, generally it is always important to make sure that your master catalog always remains in a local hard drive, and you keep backing up once a week. I always do it once a week. You can do it once a month. You can do it once a day, and you can you can also opt for every time Lightroom exists. But I always back up my catalog once a week. Now, what does that catalog contain? As I said, metadata information, file location, and many other information like flag ratings and all the aperture information. All those information are stored in a catalog, and whatever adjustments I make to an image, that is also stored in a catalog. So every week I need to make sure that I back up my catalog. And if you want to back up your catalog, make sure that your catalog also goes to an external hard drive, never to a local hard drive. So the reason why I'm talking about backing up is there are chances where your catalog may get corrupted. It has happened to me more than once. So what I always do is I always make sure that I back up my catalog without fail. Okay, so every time, so I do it once a week when the Lightroom exits. Okay, so I hope I have been clear with regard to catalogs. So you can go to catalog by going to edit catalog settings. Okay, now this is as far as understanding what catalog is. I hope I've made the point clear, Shishir. Is my pace good?
Yes, yes, Shubhash. It's going well, and it's very well explained. Thanks for it. You can carry on. We are on track. Uh,
Okay,
in the
thank you.
meanwhile, I will still again remind all the attendees, if there are any questions, please use the Q&A tab or chat section to ask any questions or doubts you might have. Yeah, over to you, Shubhash. Thanks.
Thank you, Shishir. So now I spoke to you about the catalog. Now I need to talk about the folders. Now this is where my all. So I have dedicated separate hard drive for photography. Okay, and I have created a master parent folder called photos. And under that folder, this is the way I have organized all my images. So for example, whichever location I go to, I create a separate folder, and then I import all those images belonging to that particular location to these folders. Now, if I visit a particular location more than once, for example, you will see Hampi. Hampi is my hometown. So I keep visiting Hampi now and then. So every time I visit Hampi, I create a separate folder with the year and the month that I visited. Okay. So this is a great way to organize. So for example, if I want to visit I put a bit of thought into how I should organize. So this is a very effective method for me that I have come across that is working for me. Now, this may not work for us. You may do commercial assignments. So depending on that, you could think about, a thought. You could put a thought process before you actually begin your work in Lightroom. Okay. So for example, if I visit a particular location more than once, you can create multiple folders with the year in which you visited that location along with a which month. Okay, so I create basically a parent folder, and under that I create subfolders for each of the visits that I have made for that particular location. Okay, so for example, you see Hesarghatta, I have made my visit to Hesarghatta more than once, and right from about 2009 to 2013 multiple times. Okay, so this is the folder structure that I have maintained, or folder hierarchy. Okay, so I have made sure that for every visit that I make to a particular location, there is always a separate folder. Okay, for example, for Lal Bagh or for many other places that I have visited, I have made sure that I have created a separate folder, and then there is a hierarchy with a year and a month assigned to it. Now, if I visit that particular location, you may ask, sir, what if I visit that particular location in a month more than once? What I generally do is, let's say I visited Lal Bagh in the month of November more than once, like say 4 times. All those images actually go there. Okay, I will tell you how to bifurcate or try to figure out, for example, which day you went. Like I can show you that right now. Okay, let's say for example, Lal Bagh. Okay, so if I have visited Lal Bagh, say more than once or twice on that particular month, I will be able to know. So I have clicked on that folder, and if I go to my metadata settings, can you see on the top there is a metadata tab? If I click on that, it will tell me, see, in 2017, I have visited only once. Okay, so if I had visited more than once, it would give me Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So that way, including the date, see, 4th of November, that was a Saturday. So that is how I'm able to understand which day I visited on that particular. So when I click on that, that images will be automatically sorted out for me. Okay, so we will talk about the metadata tab in about 5 minutes or so in detail. Okay, so I just wanted to give you some sort of understanding of how I organize my images. So there is a very clear cut folder slash hierarchy that I always follow. Okay, and I have always made sure that there is a separate folder for each of this, and then there is a where, for example, I have maintained a parent folder for street photography, if you see here. So there are about 883 images in the street photography, and I bifurcate into, Church Street, Kiar Market, so that way I am able to actually maintain my folders, and there is a clear cut hierarchy. Now, this is as far as the folder structure slash hierarchy is concerned. Go to any of my folders, say for example, Belur. Okay, I'm clicking on the parent folder. There are about 287 images in this. You will see that for each of these images or film strip, just a minute. So now I am able to see the extra information about the strip. In order for that to be revealed, I will go to view and say view options. The shortcut is Control J. So when I click on that, I will be able to see. So if I say show grid extra, I can make it either compact cell where there is no information, just the numbers, or expanded cell will give me information like what is the pixel size, what is the name of the file, what was the date that I assigned, what time did I shoot, and the serial number of the particular file. So this is something that is very useful. So in order to for the library view options, you have to go to view and say view options, and you will be able to see the information in the strip. Okay, so you have to click on extra grid, show extra grid, or show grid extra, and then expanded cell. This gives me the option to actually choose. Now, if I click on a particular file, film strip, and click here, I will be able to see all this information. For example, if I want to access what exposure did I shoot this particular image with. So when I click on exposure, it will tell me I shot this image at 1/80th of a second at f8. Now this is what we call it as a metadata. Okay, so this is something that is really useful. I can see a lot of information. How many megapixels, for example. So this was actually a 6 megapixel. And ratings, it will tell me I have given a 2-star rating. It is also available here. Can you see star ratings? Okay, so this is the information. Like for example, I can see, if I want to see file name. Okay, now this is the file name that I have given. Okay, so this is a very useful information. This is what we call it as metadata. And if you see for each of the file, okay, I have assigned a star rating. This is where you can assign a star rating. Okay, at the bottom you have the control toolbar. This is where, for example, I am not happy with this image, so I will assign a 1-star rating. Okay, whichever images that I'm happy with, I will probably assign as 2-star rating, and I will also give a color code. Can you see green? So this is the color code that I have given to my secondary images. That means these are not my favorite images, but these are my second tier images. Okay. For all my first tier images, that means the images that I love the most, I will go for a green rating with a 3-star rating. Green color tag with a 3-star rating. Now, I will tell you why I input this metadata. Okay, this is the metadata that I always input when I'm browsing my images. So for all my second tier images, which perhaps I don't like it so much, I give a 2-star rating with a yellow tag or a yellow label. The images that I really love the most and perhaps I think are really good, I assign a 3-star rating with a green color tag. Okay, so this is how I organize my images. I give ratings and color tags so that I will be able to sort out my images and find my images. I will show you how to find my images as well. Okay, for each of the images that I've given 2-star rating, 3-star rating, you can also assign pick flags. I generally don't use pick flags. Okay, this is where you can, suppose you like an image, you can assign a pick flag, like a thumbs up. If you don't like an image, you can assign a set as rejected image. Okay, so can you see the rejected flag assigned to a particular image? That means it is a rejected image, and the film strip also disables it. Okay, so this is how I start organizing my images. So once I import all my images into the folder, my first task is to review all my images by giving color tags and star ratings. And then, if you know, a lot of my images generally when they are imported will have a serial number that is assigned by the camera, right? That doesn't make sense for me. So what I have done, for example, with Baylor, is I have made it more sense to actually rename my files as Baylor underscore 2009. Which month did I shoot? So it makes sense for me. Okay, instead of leaving the file names as generated by the camera, I generally make sure once I import, I always rename my files. Okay, in order to rename your files, you need to select one image or select multiple images, go to photo, and then go to file rename. sorry, library, rename files. Okay, the shortcut, I always remember the shortcut, which is F2. Okay, so F2, because I remember shortcuts, I've forgotten where it lies. I think it is available in file, rename photos. That's correct. See, library, rename photos. So I always make sure after I import, after review, and after I delete my rejected images, you can also delete your rejected images. I always make sure that I delete my rejected images. And then I always make sure that I go to library and rename my photos. So I always go for custom settings. If I go to edit custom settings, I generally choose to make sure that I assign a file name, then there is a sequence, and then you can assign many aspects of how you want to rename your file. For example, you could include, say for example, title. See, I have included the title now. So you can just click on insert and it will be inserted here. Or if you want, at the end, you can insert a title here. Okay, so this is how I rename my files. Okay, Shishir, any doubts so far? Shall we take a small break before I move to the next point?
Yeah, I think there's no
Because the
doubts.
information, because I fear information overload.
Yeah, so no worries. I think we can take a minute and regroup. Not a problem. But there are no doubts as such as of now, Subash.
Okay.
I think just to add to what you're saying, I definitely have to agree how Lightroom is such a strong tool to kind of organize thousands and lakhs. I mean, there is no limit for the number of images that can be organized, right? So I mean,
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
fantastic thing, and especially the best part is when you talk about the cataloging part, the way it's smartly built to kind of read the images through an external device but kind of capture all the data in a catalog. That's something which is very smartly done, right? It's definitely a good tool
Yes.
there.
Yeah. So this is a result of about experimenting over a couple of years actually. I always, whenever I started, importing all my images, I used to struggle with looking for a particular image.
Got got
Let's
it.
say I want to access a particular image from one of the locations. So I have to browse through each folder in order to look for a particular information.
Correct.
Now that I have assigned color tags, flag ratings, it becomes very easily accessible. And the other important part of your metadata is keywording.
Agree.
If I click on a particular file strip here, can you see the number of keywords that I've assigned to this particular image? Architecture, Bangalore, building, Kabban Park, government, museum, and much more you can. For example, this is also historical in nature. So I have already assigned keywords to some of the other images saying historical. So I will click on historical and that will be added to this image. Now, this is a very important part of your cataloging. Keywording is very essential. And I always make sure, even before I assign color tags, I provide keywordings, I delete rejected files, and then rename those files, and only then start editing. Otherwise, I never move into the editing stage until I do housekeeping. Okay. Now, why the keywording? Why do you ask me that I put provide keywords? So if I go to catalog, if I go to all photographs, right now my film strip is showing me all the photographs within the catalog. 19,392 images are available in my catalog. Now, you remember I spoke to you about keywords? I have provided keywords for almost every image now. Okay. So I can go to text tab here, search any field, contains all or contains a particular keyword. Okay. Say for example, I can text search any field or keywords, right? So I can assign, so I can select keyword from this tab, contains all, and I can say bulbul. The moment I type bulbul, can you see it filtered all my images with the particular tag. Every image that you see currently is listed under bulbul. Okay, all these images are from bulbul. Now I can also go further in filtering out. How? If I, for example, move to the, so right now I have enabled text, I can also enable attributes and say, find me images of bulbul that have been assigned yellow tag. Can you see the filter? This is the power of Lightroom. I'm able to filter out my images. You can also go further, saying find me yellow images, say for example, with a 3-star rating. There are no bulbul images with a 3-star rating, which is why it is not showing me any images. So if I come back to say for example 2-star rating, it will show me images of the bulbul images which are 2-star rated. So this is why I was talking to you about the power of the metadata. The reason why I assign color tags star ratings is because I am able to filter out and access my images at the fingertips. Okay, so this is the power of metadata. Now I will say none, and I will, if you remember, I spoke to you about providing my favorite images. I provide a 3-star rating plus, or and also a green color tag. So I will show you how to find all my images which have been assigned green tags with a 3-star ratings. See, these are all my images that I have provided. For example, this image of mine that I shot in Maharashtra, Chiploon, which has won many awards, I have assigned 4-star rating with a green color tag. Okay, so every image that are my favorites, I always assign a 3-star rating or more plus a green tag fingertips. This is why I prioritize and make sure that all my images are organized in such manner that I am able to find all my images. Okay, now this is one way of organizing. Okay, you can, one of the ways, so there are multiple roads or multiple way access points, the way you can organize your images. Now I assign color ratings, flags, or star ratings and color tags to images. You can also use another very powerful feature in Lightroom called collections. Can you see? This is a collection folder. It's like an album. I think Capture One Pro calls it album. Aperture, the software that has been discontinued by Apple, they also had something called as uh, uh, I think called as albums. So in Lightroom, albums are called as collections. So I can make a collection set, for example, a parent folder. For example, I have created a collection called nature. So whenever I shoot wildlife, all my images from wildlife go into that collection set. And under that collection set, I have again bifurcated into birds, mammals, and many other species. For example, I do a lot of bird photography and I'm into ornithology for almost 15 years. So I have bifurcated all my collections into species. Can you see this? CHE is actually changeable hawk eagle. Then Indian Scoops Owl. There is a separate collection called Indian Scoops Owl. Then there is a separate collection for Asian Paradise Flycatcher. All these images are Asian Paradise Flycatcher images. There is a separate collection for great tit. Can you see? This is a next level of organization. Okay, so you can create collection sets, and within that collection sets, multiple collections. Okay, so I have assigned, like for spotted doe, there is a separate collection. So So if I want to access, I can always access the images that I want from collections. How do you create a collection? You see this plus icon? This is where you can create a collection or collection set. There is also something called a smart collection. This is a very smart tool. Okay, I will show you how to create a smart collection. Okay. Now, whatever you see, then there is also a separate collection that I've called a subject matter. There's a separate folder called subject matter. So all my abstract images go into this collection. Then all my high contrast images go into this collection. Right now there are no images. Like I shoot doors because I enjoy shooting doors. So if I go to Delhi, if I go to Bombay, wherever I go, if I shoot a door, all my landscape images go into this collection. So that way, I have created a subject matter collection set from within which I have created multiple collections like street, waterfalls, trees, sunrise, sunset. So this is a very smart way to organize your images. I will take a minute for Shishir to see if there are any questions before I move further.
Yeah, none actually, Subash. I don't see any questions, but yeah,
Okay.
I was just yeah, I think you can carry on, Subash. There's no questions, so we'll just take.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let me show you how to create a collection. So for example, in subject matter, recently I've been doing a small project for myself called rule of odds. So all my rule of odd images can go into that particular collection. So under the subject matter collection set, I will create a collection called rule of odds. Rule of odds. Now, where should it go? It should get inside a collection set called subject matter. Okay, I have multiple collection sets. You remember nature collection set. Now I want to create a collection under the subject matter collection set. So that is where I want it to go. I want to include or not include any selected photo. Currently, this is the selected photo. If you see the boat with the landscape, that is not a rule of odd image. So I will currently disable this and I will set it as a target collection. Now, once I set it as a target collection, I can create it. Now, under the subject matter, it would have come. Now, sometimes it is difficult to identify where my collection is. So I can assign even a color code to this particular collection. Right click, and I can go to add color label, and I can currently add a green label. Can you see? I am currently able to assign a color code or a color label to even folders, not just images. I can assign color labels to smart collections or collections. I can even assign, if you see, I have assigned color labels even to my folders. Okay, that is a very a very smart way to actually work as well from within Lightroom. Now that I have created a collection and assigned it as a target collection, can you see this plus icon? Plus means this is an active collection. So whatever images that I choose will go into this particular collection. So let me actually look for a rule of odd image. If you know, rule of odd images generally has odd numbers, right? So for example, in Belur, there is one image that I want to put into that collection, this image. Can you see? This is a example of a rule of odd, right? So what I can do is I can either drag and drop this image into the collection, drag and drop, okay? Or a smart way to move is to learn the shortcut key, which is B for Bombay. I select a particular, now because this plus icon is active in this particular collection, if I press B, it will automatically be added to the rule of odds collection. Can you see? So this is a very smart way to organize your images. So there are a couple of other images perhaps that I have rule of odds. For example, I think I have one image of rule of odds from Naguinahalli, for example. Any image, yeah, can you see this? This is an example of a rule of odd. Okay, so I select this image and I press B key, shortcut B for Bombay. Now it will go and sit in that collection. Okay, can you see? It has come to this collection. It is also telling me how many images are within this collection. 2 images. So this way I can start building collection sets. Okay, Shishir, any doubts so far before I move to the next point?
None, Subash. You can carry on. Subash, just a quick time check. We are close to 12. We have another 10 minutes to reach 12.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope my pace is okay. I hope
Yeah.
I'm not moving too fast.
No, Subash. I think you're doing perfectly fine. You can just carry on.
Thank you. Thank you. So I showed you how to create a collection. There is another very important feature in the collections called the smart collection. Create smart collection. Now this is basically, you can set some criterias. Okay. So for example, I will see, if you remember, I have a green tag or green color tag assigned to those images. I want to make sure all my images assigned green tag with a 3-star rating go into that a particular folder or a particular smart collection. So I create a smart collection called green tag. Green for me is approved. Or I'll just say green. Green tagged images. Where should it go? I don't want it to go into any collection set. I just want it to be a separate smart collection. Okay. So green tag. Then now I have to set criteria. So what are the criteria? Match all. So it has to match all for me. Okay. I want to label color. Label color is green. Okay. So find me images that have label color which is green. I can create another criteria. Rating is equal to is greater than or equal to 3 stars. Okay. Once I press create, it will start populating. Can you see it has already, see, it has found 65 images with green color with a 3-star rating and above. See, it will also find 4-star rated images, because if you see, if I go to edit smart collection is greater than or equal to 3 stars. So that means it will also find 5-star rated images and 3-star rated images. Now I don't have to go to each folder and look for which image is green or not. All I have to do is come to the smart collection, which is labeled as green tag. I will also assign a color, green color, so that I'm able to, so that this is visible. I can easily come to green color tag and find all my images with green. Now, when does this particular collection or smart collection get smarter? I will show you. Let's say I go to any particular folder. You remember I gave 1-star rating to this. I will provide 3-star ratings and I will give green to this. The moment I give green, Smart Collection will observe and keep a track of my catalog. Because I've given this green with a 3-star rating, this image will automatically move into my Smart Collection. Can you see? The image has already come. So Smart Collection will always keep track and observe color to a new image that I import tomorrow with a 3-star rating. It will automatically put it into my folder without even asking me. So let's say I want to assign, I don't want, because I don't like this image much, I will remove the color tag. The moment I remove it, you see, it will omit from this folder. Can you see that file disappeared? So that is the power of Smart Collection. It will always keep track of what I'm doing. So you can create either collections, which are normal collections, where you have to manually transfer files, or you could create smart collections and allow Lightroom to observe what you're doing. And based on the criteria that you have provided, it will start populating the images based on the criteria that you have given. So that is the power of collections. So to recap, we have discussed about what is a catalog, where does it reside, how do you organize your folder structure or file hierarchies, how do you assign ratings, provide color codes and star ratings and flags, how to rename your images, how to input your metadata, like the other the metadata like the star ratings or the color codes, how to create folders, your collections, your smart collections. So this is how I organize all my images in Lightroom. And as I told you, my idea of restructuring, reorganizing images will continue to evolve. Okay, but this is the strategy that I've employed in the last 5 or 6 years, and I make sure that I'm aware of all my images where they are, so that I can access all my images at the fingertips. With this, I would like to conclude what we have discussed in today's session.
Yeah, thanks
Sushil,
so
over
much,
to you.
Subash. I think if the session is done, we can take a minute or two for the attendees to pose any questions if they have, not just related to organizing. In general, if they do have any questions about Lightroom, I think we will be able to address that, right?
Yes, definitely.
So, to all the attendees out there, thanks for being patient. If you do have any questions related to Lightroom, or if you want us to demonstrate anything for you, you can go ahead and please use the Q&A tab. Ask us what you want to know about Lightroom, and we will be able to help you out with that. Yeah, in the meantime, Subhash, thank you for having such a deep session. I can definitely understand from a beginner's perspective, it might be a little complex to kind of organize, but I personally believe I understood the value of organizing images only after a couple of years into the industry, right? Like you keep shooting and shooting, and there are so many
Yes,
images that keep gathering in your hard drive, and you need to definitely have a right tool to organize and kind of have
absolutely.
everything in
So
place.
coming up with some sort of a strategy becomes very essential. Otherwise, Lightroom is a mess many a times when you don't organize. So you don't know where the images are, which folder they are. Uh, you sometimes have spent a day trying to find one particular image. When you're in a commercial scenario, when a client asks you a particular file, you have to make sure that you can access it as soon as possible and send it across to the client. Otherwise, it's bad business.
Agree. I definitely agree with what you have been speaking so far from the last 1 hour. So it's all somehow I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I personally believe it's all a fusion of how you rename your file, how you star rate it, how you color tag it. None of, I mean, not even one of this can go wrong. Everything
Correct.
needs to be synced together so that you kind of, have an access to the file the immediate moment that you want, right?
Correct. Correct.
I think, yeah, this also comes in
See,
definitely.
I
Yeah, please go ahead.
Shishir, I lost you for a minute. Yeah,
Uh,
you cut off for about
no,
to
no
five
problem.
seconds or
So,
so. I was
so
not able
let
to
me just
hear.
repeat. I was just saying, how all these syncs together, and definitely it comes in with some bit of a practice. It's not something that you can probably get to know
Correct.
by attending a class, or or just picking up a tutorial. You got to do it, and
Correct.
more and more of a practice. You learn by your own mistakes, and you kind of get a hang of it.
Very true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, I constantly participate in national and international competitions. So I
Mhm.
have created a collection set, and under that, generally across the world, there are four different categories of competitions. So whenever a particular club announces a particular competition, photography competition, so they have, it's thematic, right? So they have something called color open, monochrome, black and white, and then you have nature category, then the photo travel category. So because I constantly participate in national and international salons, I have created a collection set, and under that each collection set, and I always make sure that my best images that I've processed will always go into those collections, so that I'm able to access it on a daily basis actually.
Agree. It's always good to organize and keep it ready so that you can access it at the moment that you want, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
it was a brilliant session there, Subhash. Thank you so much, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
just for the attendees, thanks so much for being so patient. And I'm sure you can log on to our YouTube. There will be a recording of the same. And if you want to try the same thing in your free time, please go ahead, refer to the video over and over until you get some practice on your hands, and you know what you want to do, right? And
Yes.
this, I think, Subhash, thank you so much for taking us through the Lightroom, especially yesterday with the develop mode and today with organizing. And it has been a lovely time and a lovely session that has helped us, learn so much about Lightroom. We definitely look forward for more. We would love to collaborate, and we would like to learn more with you for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions so far?
No questions as such, Subhash. No, none from the attendees. I think we are good to wrap.
All
So
right.
go ahead and probably close the session for the day.
Thank you. So please feel free to actually go over the video that is available on YouTube if you have some doubts. And sometimes if you feel that I've gone a bit faster, please just review the video that is available on YouTube so that you can get the hang of what I have discussed about and then practice for yourself. In case you still have any doubts, you can always contact Shishir and then get in touch with me as well if you have any
Sure.
doubts
That,
related to Lightroom.
yeah. So thanks again, Subhash. Thanks for your time. Thanks to all the attendees for being patient. Thank you so much. We will connect soon over the next couple of webinars. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day, all of
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.